Today on Plums we have Chandler from Opti Games. Opti Games are the fantastic team behind Sparkball, and we hear from Chandler about his approach to life, being a founder, and all the wonderful games he's played over the years. Let's get to it. Chandler, welcome to Plums. It's fantastic to have you here.
Super great to be here. Always happy to chat with you. And excited to talk about my life, I guess.
That's it. Nice. But there's one thing, Chandler, that I really want to know. Look, I know you're a big fan of Sparkballs, but what are your other favorite balls?
Man, I thought you were going to ask me favorite games, and I was like, okay, this one's going to be easy, but that one was a little bit of a loop. Basketball. Easily
basketball.
Yeah. I got back into it in my 30s.
Yeah.
And I'm way too old and way too slow, and my knees hurt way too much 24/7. But I'm glad I'm playing again. So yeah, basketball for sure. But Sparkball's easier, man. I get to sit down. I don't have to think about anything.
Yeah. Basketballs are good, but there's nothing worse than underinflated basketball. They become so bad. The difference is, with a football, it's not too bad, but with a basketball, it hugely impacts, the ability to play the game. And you essentially have to stop, and someone has to find a pump or whatever.
Yeah, my favorite one is when I can't hit a shot all day, and I say, "Well, this ball's underinflated. This ball's overinflated. The lighting's off in this room. The air conditioner's on." Yeah. That's what you got to pull every time for sure.
Yeah, nice. Well, I obviously knew I was going to ask you about your favorite balls, and I was trying to think of mine. And obviously, putting aside my ginormous cojones, I love Maltesers. Are you aware of Maltesers? I'm sure they must have them in North America.
I don't think so.
Oh man, they're so good. They're chocolate, and it's like a crisp inside, but it all melts. And I literally suck on them, and they're so tasty, man.
Maltesers.
So good. Maltesers, they're big in the.
I see what you're talking about. Okay, yeah. Okay. You got to be careful talking about your favorite balls and
sucking them
in your mouth. But it's all right. It's all right. It is what it is.
Yeah, no. We try and keep this a family-friendly podcast. So.
Call it Plums and then talk about this stuff. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Plums should be my favorite ball. Yeah, dear me. Did you ever pick up? It was big in Bitcoin circles, but I can't remember if it was big in crypto circles as well. There was this whole craze of getting tungsten balls. Did you ever see this?
Oh, the super heavy stuff?
Yeah. And people loved it.
Absolutely not. Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't get to hold one, so I don't know what the big deal was, but people absolutely loved it, didn't they? There was a huge craze.
I remember it was the gift giving thing of I got a box and it's super heavy.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome.
It's enjoy really that. Heavy scrap metal, essentially. Yeah, good. Now, Chandler, you thought I would ask about games, and I want to talk about games. Take me back. What was the first computer game you remember playing?
Ooh. Weird one, but Descent. I was on a little floppy drive with my dad and his buddy, and he was like, "Yo, we just got this new game," and this was the early days of DOS gaming.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, been hooked ever since.
Yeah,
I don't even remember what that game was about. I don't remember playing it at all, but I remember the floppy disk with Descent.
So funny. Because I was thinking before coming on, and I was thinking, my earliest memories, it's probably Pokemon and Game Boy. But now you've mentioned DOS games. So we used to have a PC at home, and we had a few games that we could play on. There was Worms. And Worms, you had to load it through DOS, but it was a Windows computer, and it was Windows 95 or whatever. And then we had Oregon Trail, which I absolutely loved. Yep. My younger brother used to always die of dysentery, which I thought was hilarious. Mm-hmm. And there's still the meme out there, never ford the river, because you just always absolutely die. And then what else did I have on that machine? I can't remember, but good times. Yeah,
Duke Nukem was one of the old school DOS ones.
Okay, so Duke Nukem, I didn't get to play, but I remember going to a friend's house and they had it, and all they wanted to do was go to like the theater and see like the naked woman and then shoot her in the boobs.
It's crazy. Back in the day, that felt like your entire goal in life was just like, is there any naked women on these computers? I got really into WWE, and it was like the same thing back in the day. It was, we got to go to a show because sometimes you see, and it's like, man. And I was like 8. Like, what's wrong with us? I don't know, man. It's not right. I apologize to every woman listening. I was 8. I did not know. Man. It was
but it's funny
weird,
how, like,
weird times back then.
Yeah, and they kind of, I don't want to say they took over our lives, but you can see how parents were a little bit worried. It was like their generation with TV, where it's something new that they were like so engrossed with that they really wanted to, spend a lot of time with. But it's exactly the same, and their parents were like, oh, you can't watch TV, and it's so normal. And for us, playing computer games was normal, and we'd be happy with our kids growing up because of, there's legitimate learning that happened from me. Like, my older brother and I think we're better at driving cars and driving vehicles, boats, trucks, anything, than my younger brother, because he didn't get the spatial awareness skills from playing games.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
I love this topic. Like, I love thinking about like how games impact kids, because I say the same thing. Mine's not driving cars, but mine's like running a business, because I ran a business in World of Warcraft at 15, and I ran like a little botting farm with Diablo 2, and like it 100% helped me. But I think what I focus on a lot nowadays is, like, I always say that you and I were around the same age, something like that. We grew up in what I would call the golden age of gaming, which is like, this is all brand new to us. Like, the entire world is discovering this at the same time. We're kind of like slow dripping our experience into gaming. And nowadays, when kids grow up into gaming, it's like day one, I'm on Fortnite TikTok. I've got people screaming in my ear. I've got toxicity flying everywhere. And I think like that initial like exploration, like the adventure that we all went on as we were getting into gaming is gone. And so I look at it as like, if I had kids and they were playing games, like that would be my biggest concern. It's like, we got to grow up and learn through gaming, whereas I think kids nowadays are growing up and like getting really negative reinforcement through gaming. And so I mean, that's something I care a lot about in Sparkball, but man, I'm scared. I don't even want to have kids, but like I growing up a kid nowadays playing games is like a little scary. I'm not saying you shouldn't play games, but like it's a little scary. How open
what's interesting about that is there is so many parallels with loads of other things, like using the internet. We grew up using the internet, and it was relatively safer for us, and there's so many problematic things on the internet. Same with social media. We only got it when we were like, what, 15, 16, 17,
13 or 14, somewhere in there. Agreed.
And then
we learned to code on MySpace, dude. Even my
cool.
wife, who calls every like science technology thing sci-fi bullshit, she's like, yeah, baby, I knew how to do HTML on MySpace. Like, okay. We all did. I remember the Zanga and the MySpace. That's what we learned. And
then they're now going on, and there's all these pitfalls, but I guess we just have to help try and guide people. I mean, you've got the opportunity through Sparkball to build something wholesome and build something that, while it is, has that replayability, that, addictiveness, it isn't a gruesome or sexualized or, that kind of stuff. So, there's other ways you could have taken it, and you've chosen a better path. I think I'm going to say optimistic person. The company is literally named Opti Games, so obviously. But I think, and that's why I said I love this topic, is because it's something that's very, very close to me of like, I feel like I am where I am because of games, and I want to be able to give other people that same experience. And when I look at like, hey, I have a niece that's 8 years old. And right now she's playing Minecraft and Roblox, and I'm sure she's going to get, and that's great. I'm all for that. That's nice and creative. Like, she's learning a ton. But eventually she's going to start getting into like that, okay, I'm 11, 12, 13 now. What am I playing? And I think for boys especially, like, that becomes a gigantic problem. Do I want my 11-year-old son in a COD lobby? Not really. Not really. A rude awakening into the real world.
It's tough. It's and you're so impressionable at that age too, obviously. And so when we looked at Sparkball and this, we just kind of happened upon this by accident. So I want to make these really fun characters. And then we put the characters in the game. And we're like, guys, are you like kind of happy after playing this? Like this does not, I'm not stressed. I'm not feeling negative. I don't want to go yell at anybody after playing this. Like I'm just kind of having fun. And as soon as we realized that feeling, it was like, wait a second, you can actually design games to elicit happiness. And I'm not talking about like, oh, this dopamine hit. I'm talking about this like natural design, systems design in a way of like, hey, your characters aren't shooting each other in the head. They're getting run over by giant food trucks and knocked up by toilets. And like that alone right there completely changes what's going on psychologically. And the more we dug into that, the more we just fell in love with it.
Super
I legitimately, as cheesy as it sounds, this is not like a marketing line. I really hope Sparkball changes the world.
Yeah.
And like it's not, I hate being like, oh, we're going to revolutionize gaming. It's like, nah, man, that's dumb. I don't really, anybody claiming that is crazy. But I want to change the world.
Good.
We'll see how it goes, I guess.
No, it's fun what you're saying there about games and how they can make you feel. Often I will play a game and I will be angry at the end. Like I know I'm angry and my wife tells me I'm angry. It's like, why are you playing that game if it makes you angry? I was like, well, it's addictive. I want to win. I'm trying. And, we
talk about this all the time because our main comparison is League of Legends. Or Dota even. And I say every single time, I was like, have you ever finished a game of League of Legends and walked away being like, man, I'm so glad I played that. I'm in such a good mood. I'm so happy. And don't get me wrong, I've played tens of thousands of hours of League of Legends. I love that game, but it's not good for your health. Like I'm in the same boat as you walk away and you're like, I can't stop playing, but I love it, but I hate it and I'm angry. So I know exactly where you're coming from.
And then just going back to the kids thing, one thing I think we got away with things. We were talking about Duke Nukem. Obviously, my parents didn't buy me that, but my mum did buy me Command and Conquer, the first one. And I remember back then they had even, I don't think there was like regulated age ratings, but maybe there was. But this one had like a +21, and I was like 11 or something. Like in one of the split scenes, a guy gets shot in the head. And like it all comes out, and obviously you're trying to take over the world or whatever, and it's like, maybe I shouldn't have this game.
That's how you ended up the way you did, man.
Exactly.
So it all goes back to that one moment, and that's responsible for Barry. That's how it works.
Yeah, but good times playing games as kids. I remember, Pokemon on the Game Boy. Hearing the theme tune at night because I was playing it so much. One negative experience. I say negative, but it was kind of like a awakening. I got really into Splinter Cell, which was a game on Xbox where it was like a stealth game, and I noticed while I was playing it, when I went out into public areas or whatever, I would be looking for the lights. Where's the light that I can switch, I can shoot. You'd be thinking, and I called it like Splinter Cell syndrome, and I explained it to friends and I said, look, I'm feeling weirded out here. I'm looking for the shadows that I'd be able to hide in and shoot and stuff, because you get so engrossed and it becomes part of your thinking, because clearly to win a game you need to be there present with the character. So
it's what do you dream in? Like when you dream, what do you see when you close your eyes and you listen? When you play games for 12 hours in one day and then you go to bed, what do you think you're going to think about?
Exactly.
So I think it's just our job to make it happy.
Yeah, exactly.
So make sure it's happy thoughts.
Tell me, what is the greatest game of all time in your view?
Man, I don't think there's an answer to this.
Okay.
I mean, I want to say World of Warcraft. Like, I think it's by far the most impactful, most meaningful.
Yeah.
It will never be matched, ever. I think it completely changed the world for everything that it did. But I would say what really got me on my start is Diablo 2.
Yeah.
I think that's probably what made me fell in love with game design, because my dumbass was like 12 years old, doing two things. One, I tried to make a Diablo board game with just like drawing it. I don't know what I was thinking there. I cut up pieces of paper and had little cards as items. Terrible. And then there's also like little forum posts of me at 12 years old posting about how I want to make a video game.
Yes.
And I think that's like when it started, because I played Diablo and I was like, man, this is so good, but I have so many ideas on how to make this better. I could make this. I know I'm 12 years old, but I could make this better, guys. Trust me. Yeah. And I was kind of right, honestly, back then, but just pretty naive, I guess is the way that I would put it.
Yeah, that's so funny. When you said Diablo 2, the producer, Adrian, was like, yeah, well, duh.
Yeah, man, it's the GOAT. It's the GOAT. It will never, something about it, man.
Yeah. And we could go on World of Warcraft. We could talk about that for a long time. I enjoyed it. I ended up, getting to level, they had a cap early on to like level 60 or something. And then I was like, well, there's not much I can do now. And there wasn't the same level of risk. So I was playing EVE Online a lot. And EVE Online has the chance for total loss. When you die, you lose everything, basically. And obviously, World of Warcraft, you lose some, there's some risk of loss, but it's not total. And I did enjoy it. I've got a question on World of Warcraft later on, which I'm looking forward to.
I'll talk about WoW any day, man.
Yeah. My favourite, though, I really enjoyed the Grand Theft Auto series.
Sure.
Big time. I mean, we played like Grand Theft Auto 2, London, etc. On my brother's laptop. In fact, one time we were at home, so my parents are evangelical Christians, and my brother was sent to boarding school. He was having some problems in the local schools and got sent to a boarding school to sort him out. Anyway, he had a laptop there, and he played Grand Theft Auto, and he was playing it in the lounge at home one time when he was home. And Mum came and sat next to him. And on Grand Theft Auto 2, you used to have a pager, and messages would come up at the bottom. And I remember just sat there. I was watching TV, some cartoons or whatever. I was probably like 9 or something. And my mum was just looking at the screen. You could see her reading it. And there was obviously something come up. And she goes, "Chicken shit! Chicken shit, Robert! It's a slippery slope!"
That's when you just pause the game and you're like, hey, I actually don't want to play anymore. I think I'm kind of tired now. That's hilarious, man.
Yeah, we had some, and then obviously Grand Theft Auto 3 came out, blew minds because it was 3D and amazing. Vice City was so good. Me and my older brother, we played it over like an Easter holidays. So he must have just turned 16, so he'd finished boarding school, but he was working. So I was playing it during the day, and then he'd come back. We were just eating pizza, playing it, having the best times of our lives. I remember one time, you used to be able to buy businesses. You're talking about like run a business. Yeah. Yep. And so you used to buy these businesses, but there was one business, we were like, I'm sure you'd be able to buy this strip club, but we didn't know how. There was no for sale sign, right? So you're like, how do you do this? And so we thought, well, maybe you just have to sit with the stripper long enough, and then you get the opportunity.
Just like real life, man. Just like real life. Yeah.
So we left the PlayStation on with the character in with the stripper with the TV switched off while we went to church. We sat there at church thinking
God
like,
knew. Yeah, God knew.
It's going well. And then we went home, and we left. And we didn't spend nearly as much money as we thought. And then, yes, we could buy the strip club. So good. And then a few weeks later, my mum had obviously got an email from like some church group about the dangers of Vice City, and was like, boys, I want to speak to you. And we went and searched. She's like, now boys, there's a new game called Grand Theft Auto Vice City, and you must not play it. And we're like, Mum, we've already completed it. What do you think we've been doing for the last month up there? It's so good.
That's funny.
Yeah, good times. I love
that.
Now you mentioned, you had this dream from like a young age, having played Diablo 2 to found a game studio. I think so many young people play games that, oh man, I want to be involved in this, I want to do it. Not everyone makes it. What was the journey from, I want to do this with my life to now?
I mean, the first thing I have a lot of things to say here. I'm sure the crowd is not super young listening to this, so it's probably not that important. But I think first of all is like 90-something% of feedback that like regular gamers give, and they're like, oh, I know video games, and I can design video games, and I can make video games. You're totally wrong. Like, your feedback is awful, guys. I'm sorry. Like, it's just not good. There is such a huge difference between like playing games and knowing what makes games good. And even if you play games a lot, and even if you're really knowledgeable, I think there's something to game design and things that just requires a very like a whole picture view. And a lot of times people just get stuck in one thing and you like don't think about all of the cascading things. And I was in that boat too, like when I was a kid. Like I was dumb and naive and I had no idea what I was doing. My journey's a little different because I knew that I wanted to make games. I felt super, super strongly about it. And I knew that like a lot of what I was doing made sense. Like, I really had the right outlook on it. But I went to school and took my first programming class and said, yeah, never mind. Like, this sucks. Like, there's no way I want to be doing this my whole life. Yeah. This is way too hard for me. It's not what I imagined. And I also worried that I would go into a studio, and I don't know why I kept thinking this, but it was just like, your first game you're going to work on is My Little Pony. Like, do you really want to go work on My Little Pony for somebody and just, like, work on games that you don't really care about?
Yeah.
And so I ended up going into consulting, which paid way better. First of all, just paid way better, obviously. And about 5-6 years into consulting, I said, you know what? I think it's time to do this dream that I've had. Like, let me take it serious now. Cause I had tried like 3 other times before, but I had no money. And so I finally had money. I finally had time. And I remember thinking, I mean, I've told this story a bunch. I remember thinking I would spend 40, 50 grand, year and a half, 2 years. We would have this cool prototype. We would get to Kickstarter, and it would just be a fun little experiment. You know, worst case amount, 50 grand, not a big deal. Big deal, don't get me wrong, but like not the end of my life. And then 6 years went by, about 225 grand, and just my entire life was absorbed into this thing. And I probably should have given up like 20 different times over the course of that 6 years, but you have the classic sunk cost.
Yeah,
it's like, well, it's close now. I might as well just finish it, and it wasn't close. It's never close. But it was a ride. But super glad I did it now, obviously.
Yeah.
But I think even then, you know, you're so confident about what you're doing, and then you look back now, and you're like, my God, I made so many terrible decisions. And I think, you know, even stepping away from games, I think every founder has that. You know, the more you talk to other founders, every single person's like, man, this was so dumb. I have no idea why I ever thought this would. But you remember when you thought about it, it felt like the only is so right. It's absolutely the right thing to do. So anyway, a couple different merging there, but
there's that fantastic quote from must be Rocky 6 where you know, Rocky's saying to his son that it's not how hard you can hit, it's how hard you can get hit and keep going. You know, and it's that ability for you to keep getting a hit, keep pushing, keep going, and that's how winning is done. You know, and that's you know, you not giving up is how you won, and other people would have given up.
I agree. I mean, I 100% agree, and I think that is honestly, as Opti Games, our superpower, and in a way, my I think it's part of just my personality. And sometimes I wish I wasn't like this because sometimes I take things a little too far because I'm too stubborn about it. But we are a cockroach. People call us a cockroach all the time. And to me, it's an amazing compliment, especially in Web3. I think when people don't give up and you just kind of keep like trying and trying and trying. And I think what's helped us a lot is Sparkball is just really good. And I think if Sparkball was just like a mediocre game or like a good game, I would be like, you know what? All this effort and me breaking, you know, bending over backwards, like it is what it is. But it feels like a giant, not to sound like too egotistical, but like wonder of the world will go away if I don't finish this, if I don't actually make it successful. Feels like it has all the pieces there. I don't even care about the money or the fame or the success at this point. It's just like I feel like I have to get people playing Sparkball. And I think that helps because I agree. Never give up. Like that's our superpower, 100%.
Yeah, I've got some questions about where the concept came from. You know, a few other bits and bobs. But before we do, I have a short message that I want to share with you, Chandler. So give me a second. I'm going to share a tab here. Let's go, Sparkball!
That's pretty good, man. That's pretty good. All right. I didn't know you guys had that high a budget for these, man. I feel like Cameos is one of the most underrated marketing things. You guys that's genius. I love that.
So good.
I screenshotted it for my wife. She's gonna have no idea who that guy is, but I'm gonna show her. But, I got fans, babe. I don't know.
Yeah,
Thank you for doing that.
oh, so good. So, I want to play an either or game with you. Okay. So, just a little bit of fun. So, I'm going to say two games, and you're going to have to say either or. Which one's which one goes in the bin and no one ever gets to play it again, and which one survives. Okay.
All right.
So, first up, two games that I really enjoyed: Half-Life 2 or Portal 2.
I never got into Half-Life.
You didn't?
Never got into it.
You're kidding.
No, never
Yeah,
got
I enjoyed
into
the
it.
originals, the OG. One of the things, just briefly, Gordon in the first ones had ginger hair. So, like, he was like, I didn't
That's
have
it.
anyone
That's
to
it
look
right
up
there,
to
man.
with ginger hair apart from
You
me.
didn't have the guy in Vice City, so you took Gordon. Yeah, all right.
Okay,
Yeah,
so that,
I think what I can say is like, look, Steam and Valve, like,
Yeah.
they are on another level,
Yeah.
like, without a doubt. And I think as a game developer, respect the hell out of it. Just never got into it.
yeah, no.
Portal 2, though, pinnacle of writing,
Really cool.
original Portal, pinnacle of writing, design, everything fitting together.
Yeah, really cool.
just
I mean,
can't
just
beat
the song at the end for the credits.
Yeah, there you go.
The Sims or Minecraft?
The Sims.
The Sims
100%.
are staying or the Sims are going to the bin?
Sims is staying. Yeah,
Okay.
never got into Minecraft. Only played Minecraft like an hour of my life, which I feel is a big miss. Feel like I missed the window on that, but Sims is
Oh, gee.
one of the greatest games ever made.
Next up, I know the answer to this one. World of Warcraft or RuneScape?
Yeah, never got into RuneScape.
You never got into RuneScape. So that was
Nope.
big. And when you were saying about business, a lot of people, enjoyed, farming, building businesses on RuneScape. There's...
I'm not a grinder. Same with like MapleStory, which is obviously making a ton of waves right now. I never got into MapleStory. I'm just not a grinder. I'm a very efficient game player.
Okay, cool.
Like, I have to get right into it. I don't like to waste time. I don't like to cycle. Like old World of Warcraft leveling, I bought it like crazy, and I paid people to level my accounts. I don't do that. I just won't use my time for it.
Next up, we got Counter-Strike Go or Valorant.
Neither.
They're both going in the bin.
Neither. I mean, both of them are fine. Like Counter-Strike for its cultural impact. I'm not a tack shooter person. I just not a shooter person in general. I think if you're making a shooter right now, you're crazy.
Okay, the next one's going to be super hard for you. League of Legends or Dota 2?
League of Legends, easy.
Okay.
Stay, yeah, 100%. Never got into. I love Dota. Don't get me wrong. But I like custom maps in Dota more than I like the actual Dota.
Okay,
So,
cool. Red Dead Redemption 2 or GTA 5?
GTA, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so much good times playing GTA. Among Us or Fall Guys?
Among Us.
Okay.
I think what that did for the world is underrated.
Yeah.
I really, really do.
Yeah. And then the final one, Age of Empires or Civilization?
Warcraft 3, is that an option?
No.
Oh man, I don't love either of them, but I
Okay.
really like both of them. I would say Age of Empires probably,
Yeah.
because they had the old cheats. You could type in Big Daddy and get the convertible that shot missiles.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Go hop in there, type in Big Daddy.
Yeah. I got really into it, and I still play it to this day. Sid Meier's Alpha Centauri, which was like a space-based one. I absolutely love that game, still play it to this day. I actually won it from a cereal box when I was a kid. Like, I entered a competition and I got the game, and I literally still play it now, like, 22 years later, probably?
It's crazy.
Yeah, man.
The nostalgia factor, man.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned earlier that the company is called Opti Games, and it's you are well known for being the most optimistic guy out there. But I want to know, have you ever met anyone more optimistic than you? And if you have, does it bum you out? Because you're like, I'm that guy. I'm the most optimistic guy.
No, not at all. I'm sure I have. There are people. I think it's like I'm depressed, but I'm optimistic is probably how I would describe myself. Like, I'm very melancholy, and I think, like, honestly, and I don't think anyone in this space that's a founder can disagree. Like, you get beat down pretty hard. And so I'm tired, I'm exhausted, my energy levels are low, and like I'm kind of depressed all the time just 'cause I'm overwhelmed. This is probably the easier way to put it. And I think my brand of optimism is just, it's fine though. I'll find a way out. I'm going to find a way to make this work. I'm going to look at the bright side of things. I'm going to figure it out. But being cheery and happy and like just a good person around everybody, that's definitely not me. And I found myself over the last couple of years just like completely losing my ability to like socialize normally. And I think it's just a factor of, getting beat down and overwhelmed and feeling pressure from everybody. So I try to keep that. And I think the Opti thing is a good reminder sometimes. Thank you for calling that out because it means a lot to me. But there are people, way better people and faces and things like that for the space. I think what I just really, really pride myself in is being able to find the light at the end of the tunnel and really, really focusing on that. And is there anyone more than that in me? I don't know. Maybe I'll take the crown on that one at the very least. So.
Yeah, good. Now we spoke about a bunch of games, so far on this episode of Plums, and a bunch of them have great replayability, right? But what do you think impacts a player wanting to go back and play a game? Like, what is it that makes them want to replay a game?
I think by far the number one thing is, does the game feel different than the last time I played it? Does every single individual match feel different? Yeah. And I think like that's one of the reasons I don't love shooters, is because every match feels largely the same to me, in my opinion. Obviously, most people feel different. It's fine. But I think that's something we focused on and keyed in on Sparkball pretty early on. Is like, can each match feel different? Can the flow feel different? Can slightly different things happen that completely change? I think that's why roguelites are doing so well right now. And I think something that's becoming more and more important, especially to me, and I think as people's, attention spans are getting lower, I guess is probably how I would describe it. It's just the mental load that game puts on you. I'm 30 something now. And like my friend group, like I look at the games that we all play and all of us are just like, yo, I want to play a brain dead game. Like, I don't want to have to think super hard. I don't want to have to think about this. And I find myself like TFT is a great example. The Bazaar is, I've been grinding nonstop. Monster Train, I've been grinding nonstop because I can sit there. I'm not doing it on a call right now, but I can do it on calls and meetings and just like turn off and just, get that slow dopamine rush. Well, so I legitimately think that matters for replayability because it's just not exhausting. When I try to play League of Legends nowadays, I make it at most 2 games in a row. Yeah. And I'm just like, I can't keep going. Like I got to take a break or something like that. So I think those are important
that I wanted to ask you about specifically, based on the workload you have, the industry that you're in, and me knowing, your history of enjoying games. How do professionals, people like yourself, draw the line between games for enjoyment and then achieving in life? Because, how are you not playing games 24/7? And I think something you mentioned there is that you and we now need games to relax. We're looking for, like you said, these brain dead games where we can just chill out, not have to think. We just need a little bit of escapism. We're not like, we've already maxed out our brains for however many hours during the day. But tell me, your approach to
Yeah, I mean, if I'm being completely honest, I don't enjoy games near as much as I used to. And it sucks, and I hate it. And it's probably also for the best because I have no time. Like if I still enjoyed games, I'd probably be screwed. And every now and then, I mean, I already mentioned Monster Train. Sorry that some of our dates are getting pushed this week. It's literally Monster Train's fault. Just no other way to look at it. Yeah, man, I would say there isn't a line, and I wish I could figure it out. Yeah. Because it really, I think every single game I play almost as like homework, almost as like research. And you're like trying to glean things and like, oh my God, like I will stare at somebody's user interface for 30 minutes. Yeah. And I'll be like, oh my God, I can't believe they didn't do this differently. I can't believe they didn't do this differently. So it's almost like after every game I play, I sit there and I think like, what would I have done differently? Like, how could you make this better? How could I fix this, even if it doesn't need to be fixed? And so, yeah, the honest answer is I don't draw the line, and it sucks.
One thing, you just said something that has parallels within my own life, where I can just imagine our respective conversations with our wives when you're playing games. Like, babe, I'm researching.
It's research. Yeah.
And I'm on like Twitter or YouTube when I'm researching.
Yep. It's important, man. It's a little harder on the Twitter piece. I understand. I say the same thing with anime.
Yeah.
It's like I'll be zoning out on the couch. And it's like I'm learning. It's stories. It's kicking the creative juices off. So I'm with you.
Yeah, good. Now the final question, because we're coming to the end, is one thing that you've I don't think you've ever told me is, where did the inspiration for Sparkball come from?
Yeah.
Like, where did that add? You could have made a game on with infinite different types, all these different ways of doing it, but you created this amazing game and you thought of it at some point. What sparked Sparkball?
There you go. I mean, first of all, it took 7 years of iteration to get to Sparkball. I mean, we're talking thousands of iterations and playtests before we got to Sparkball. But to answer the question directly, so I started 10 years ago, literally over 10 years ago now. The game was called Circuits and Shields, and the tagline was literally, we're going to make the modern gamers MOBA. And the idea was like, hey guys, League of Legends is 9 years old at the time or whatever it was. We can do better.
Yeah.
And how dumb I am to think that I could do better than League of Legends, but whatever. But the idea was, hey, we're going to make a secondary map. We're going to make a map with a ball to bring players in, and then we're going to release the more standard MOBA style mode just as a thing. And the map with the ball came from a game mode called Huttball in Star Wars The Old Republic. And for anyone who's ever played Star Wars The Old Republic, you will remember Huttball because it had like one of the most memorable announcers, basically like talk shit to you the whole time you were playing. And you just remember it, and it stuck with me my entire life of like, man, SWTOR is cool, whatever, but Huttball, there's something here. And so we started playing with the ball. It started out as like this weird, like almost lacrosse thing. Like you had to like lob the ball in. And then 7 years later, I would say about 2 years ago now, we solved the tower and then the goal.
Yeah.
And I think the moment that fell into place, that was the moment where if we hadn't found that, we probably would have given up by now. Yeah. But I think we had tried so many different things, and then we found that, and we tested it one day, and immediately we were like, this is it. Oh my God, we finally found it. This is it. And ever since then, it's just, that's when it became Sparkball.
Yeah,
I think
that's fantastic. Look, we've run out of time, Chandler. Awesome to spend time with you again.
Always.
I enjoy our conversations. As I say,
Always,
you have this endless optimism. You're building, an amazing product and getting.
Sat here and talked about how depressed I am, but yeah, it's okay.
But that's what optimism is. It's knowing that there's a better future despite the struggles of today, and that's what you have.
I like that description.
You're bringing happiness to people in their lives, and it's fantastic to see, and I'm proud to be a part of it, Chandler. Thanks very much for coming.
No, appreciate you having me. Always good to chat. Anytime, man. Always love being here.
Now, Chandler, just before we leave, can we get the loudest, as loud as you're willing to go? Let's go Sparkball.
My wife is on a work call in the other room, so I got to be a little careful, but I'll give it really quick. We'll do the Let's Play Sparkball.
The information and discussion provided here is for educational and entertainment purposes only and should not be considered financial advice. Berry is not licensed to provide investment advice and does not offer such. Berry typically holds positions in the project and protocols he discusses and discloses that to you here. Opinions expressed by guests are theirs alone and do not necessarily reflect the views of Berry, Plums, or their affiliates. As with all things, and especially financial matters, please do your own research and consult with professionals where relevant.